How's everyone doing?
Doing great. How's it going, Mara?
Good.
I'm just trying to get back home. I just got through a few broker tours.
Oh, nice. No worries. Give you
Yeah.
a couple minutes to get on. We'll give people like another minute and then we'll do our accountability.
On a side note, yesterday's Ignite class, the person teaching it
Yeah.
didn't send out the paperwork they said they were going to send out to two of us, myself, and I don't know if Allie got it. I definitely did not get it.
Okay, I'll check in with Jen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and start with our accountability. So, one more person getting on. Ray, I know you said you were doing some tours. How else have you been productive so far?
I'm trying to push into the commercial space like we have talked about. I'm currently talking to two businesses, one that wants to work with another and one who's trying to let go of the business, but at the same time, they wanna try to save the business if they can. They've had a rough start from the get-go in the last 5 months. So we're kind of looking at options for them and seeing what they can do.
Great.
Been doing a lot of social media posting, inviting people, networking.
Good.
And then I've gotten in touch with a buyer. Her name's Judy, and she's interested in finding a place in Eugene or Veneta that has 2 bedrooms, and it's just for her and her dog.
Awesome.
Yeah, I met her out of an open house too,
Great
and
job.
she said she had an agent.
Well, there you go. See, I feel like sometimes people do it as like a defense mechanism
Oh
more
yeah,
than like actually having an agent already.
absolutely.
Allie, how's everything going with you?
Um, Good. So sorry, hold on, my fridge is beeping at me. 1 second.
Nope, you're fine.
Yeah, no, it's going well. We had our class on Sunday, which I think was really good prep for our class in October.
Yeah.
It was good practice. But we're gonna be marketing that one a little bit harder, especially because it's at a neutral space. I connected with a real estate lawyer last week, and we're getting coffee tomorrow. So I'm hoping to kind of cultivate that relationship a little bit. I am trying to get my open houses set up for this weekend so I can work on my marketing stuff to get that ready to go out the day before and kind of get materials out and stuff like that. And then worked with a couple title companies this morning to pull some lists for some circle prospecting for my buyer and some of the areas that she's looking at, just to kind of get some notes out there to the neighbors and hopefully get some responses to grow my database a little bit.
Great job. Bo, how's everything going with you?
Hello, hopefully you can hear me.
Yep. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I haven't I'm still working on the process of getting licensed, so that's kind of where I'm at. But I am still working on that and excited to get started on all the things that I'm learning. So I'm here and I'm getting a head start, so I appreciate that.
Excellent. Good job. Ashlyn?
Hi, so yesterday I actually toured 8 different houses with my buyer. I think that was the most that I've done in a day. I've heard people do 25 in a day. I don't know how the hell they do that. And I don't
Sure.
think I ever will. I'll be like,
No,
8 is
no.
good. Pick your favorite 8 because that's the most I'll ever do. So we did that. We're gonna go look at a second one. I wrote up an offer last night, but she changed her mind just because I encourage my clients to drive by at night, make sure that they feel good there. Besides that, I had another client that just had a baby, so she'll be looking for a house. And I'm honestly trying to lean in towards focusing on sellers because why wouldn't you? A
Yeah.
lot easier. So I started doing door knocking, which is scary, but doing it. And then I'm bringing open houses back in as well. I felt like it was slow a little bit, so it was kind of discouraging. But honestly, I think it was just the open houses I was doing
Yeah, gotta make sure
and
you're
not
good.
marketing it prior. Like that's another good reason to door knock.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job. Taryn, how's everything going with you?
Good. I feel like I'm a little behind, a
Okay.
lot behind working, full time still and trying to catch up on classes, but I'm glad I could be here today.
Yeah, me
Uh,
too.
yeah.
Exciting. Perfect. And Heather.
Hi, yes, I have just been doing open houses any chance I can get, really. I haven't brought up the courage to door knock, so props to whoever's door knocking. Um, but eventually I'll get there. I do still have a full-time job, but like weekends and Wednesdays I have off, so I try to do as much as I can.
Excellent. Great job. Awesome. Well, today we have Erin West as our Ignite instructor. Erin is a principal broker with Keller Williams Eugene Springfield. He was productivity coach for the past 4 years, and him and his partner uh, run the West Team Homes, Nick and Erin, and are you good? Yep. You will need to give him a little bit of grace today because he just flew in from Mexico. So out there living his best life, and getting some fun time, which he is very, very well deserved. So definitely engage with him, unmute yourself, ask as many questions as you can, and I'll let him take it away. You're still muted though, Aaron. There you go.
Yeah, no. Luckily, I've luckily I've done this a time or two, so
You'll be good.
we just got back into Eugene. And just give me one quick second while I get my materials up and running, so I can do a screen share and we can get into generate your leads. But yeah, as Mara said, certainly, I of course would like this to be as interactive as possible, and I usually kind of set a ground rule in these as we get going, and that's that, if I'm kind of just talking and talking and talking and you've got something to say, feel free to just unmute yourself and cut me off. If I don't happen to notice you raise your hand or put something in the chat, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you kind of cut me off. So don't even worry about that at all. So like I said, just give me 1 second to get the materials pulled up and we'll get going on generate leads. Go. Oh, hey, Taryn, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Cool.
Hi, Erin. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
How many weeks now have you been part of the office? Couple now, yeah?
Just a couple of weeks. Yeah,
Have you made it to many of the
I
these
have
classes
not.
so far?
The- yeah, this is the first one I've been able to attend. I'm only home today
Oh,
because
wow.
my dog is super sick, so I'm home with him today. So, yeah.
Hey, Aaron, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
The open house panel is at 2, and I know this is scheduled to go till 3. I mean, no pressure on you. Obviously, we have to get through what we have to get through, but wondering if there's like a chance for us to be able to fit both into our schedules.
I would say absolutely, especially if that's something that's interesting you. You know, the Ignite is so interesting because sometimes it can go really quick, you know, and we may run about an hour today. It's hard to say. The quicker I can get the darn thing pulled up, the quicker we can jump into it. I've seen like literally everyone would generate your leads. Maybe if I just search for that specifically.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was about to be like, I have to be out at 2.
I mean, yeah, you won't be offended if we hop off and then like watch the rest of the recording later, would
No,
you?
not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
How do you watch the recordings later on? I was actually going to ask Jordan or Ariana that.
So what I would do is if there's like a specific one, especially that's interesting, just email Mara, be like, hey, can I get the recording to X? And she'll just send it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sorry for the silence. I wish I had some hold music for you guys. One quick second. I'm almost there.
I did get to take last Friday Tammy Sue's class on contracts, which I thought was great. I don't know if anybody else was able to take it, but it was a good class. I liked it.
So yeah, Tammy Sue, the PBs, every Friday at the same time, same link, they're doing contracts class. And it's gonna be a different topic every week. So sometimes they're gonna be talking about maybe like the well addendum. Sometimes maybe they're gonna be talking about just the sale agreement or the condo sale agreement. So the topic's gonna vary in that information. So when we get the emails on Mondays from like what's going on this week, I believe there's a flyer embedded in that email that'll be like, here's what the topic is for this Friday's contract class. And you know, they put that on like clockwork, same time, same day. And the other cool things, I believe most contracts class are for CEs. Of course, a lot of you guys, probably most, if not all, those CE credits in your first 2 years in real estate, you actually have a very specific CE you need to take, and it's broker advanced practices, and that accounts for all of your CE hours. So in your first 2 years, you actually don't have to worry about getting a CE hour here, getting a CE hour there, because when it comes time for your renewal, 37 of your 40 hours that you need are all going to be from broker advanced practices. It's just one course that you have to do. And then the other 3 hours come from the law and rule required class that we all have to take. So don't worry too much about CEs in your first 2 years because it doesn't mean too much, except for your own personal, you know, development, of course. Okay, so let's start sharing screen. Let me close a bunch of these windows out. This is gonna look like a mess to you guys if I leave all this stuff open. Cool. Is Is that visible to everyone? The Ignite session 5, generate your leads?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, cool. I am gonna, well, let's see what happens if I do that. Okay, that should be okay. Actually, no. Of course, do everything in a TCPA compliant way. And if anybody ever has any questions about how to get signed up with the Do Not Call registry, so if you're, say you do end up purchasing phone numbers as a avenue for lead generation, you're going to do some cold calling, things like that, and you need to scrub those numbers for TCPA. Madeline out of the Eugene office, our principal broker there, can kind of help you get set up to make sure that you're checking numbers for TCPA. Okay, so we've gone through spark your career, embrace your job, connect with your market, define your value, and then here we are on basically, like, I wouldn't say the second chapter, but sort of the second act of Ignite, and that's talking all about lead generation. And so the next 5 or so classes are all going to kind of be revolving around lead generation. And then after that, you're going to kind of in Act 3 kind of head into how to follow up with those leads that you're now collecting. And then when we get to Act 4, that's kind of when we really get more into your value proposition, ways to represent your clients, how to negotiate, and things like that, and more the nuts and bolts of, like, okay, so now that you've done the hard work of earning all these leads, and like the 80% of our activities that we do, and now you've earned the right to kind of do the other 20% of what we do, which is writing the offers and negotiating with other agents and getting your clients the best price, and those sorts of things. So moving right along, like I said before at the top, no, it's not moving along for me. Okay, there it goes. So what we're going to talk about today, today's agenda, you can see here, the lead generator, go into the lead generation model a bit, talk about sphere of influence, one of my favorite subjects, expanding your sphere of influence, lead generation best practices, and then just a quick recap and ahas. And then, so if it hasn't been made clear up until this point by the instructors that have taught the first 4, these success systems and in these exercises here, I don't know if you all have the Ignite book, like the hard copy. If you want it, it surely is available at all of your individual offices. You can pick one up, I believe, from Mara out of the Eugene office, or whoever the coach is in your market to get the hard copy. So, we have what we talk about here in class through the lead generator up to lead gen best practices. But then after that, those success systems, the idea is that after we wrap up, the next, say, hour or 2, that on your own, you're going to be going through those success systems and putting this into practice and doing the lead gen. Time permitting, depending on what your schedule looks like. All right, here's a great quote from Gary Keller. My fear of failure was greater than my fear of lead generating. And I've heard that put. The funny thing is that quote is often misquoted around Keller Williams, and it actually sounds better the misquoted way. But this is so true. And so, in Ruth, this kind of really goes towards, for me, is like, where's that pain point? As in, if that fear of being able to put myself out there, that fear of being able to get out there, letting my sphere of influence, which I think was probably mostly what we're going to be talking about today, lead generation wise, is your direct sphere of influence. My fear of getting out there, letting these folks know what I do, even though I'm new. How much time do I have before that mortgage payment isn't going to get made, before some bills might have to get cut, before maybe we're not going to get to take that vacation this year. And so this is just so important that this fear of not only failure, but fear of, what do you stand to lose? Where is that pain point that is greater than and convinces you to kind of get out there and do that lead generation instead of being afraid of that, is kind of, I think, the thing that everybody needs to find, because 80% of what we do as agents is that lead generation. And if there is sort of, and I feel like when you're new, it can be sometimes harder because it comes with a bit of imposter syndrome. You feel like, well, I'm a little afraid to let my aunt or my cousins or my friends or my former coworkers know what I'm doing, because I don't know everything. I don't know the contracts backward and forward, or I haven't shown that many houses. First of all, on that fear, you've got to lose it. You've got to lose it as quickly as possible, because if you're not out there lead generating, and especially to your sphere of influence, and you just think your phone's going to ring because you got your real estate license and posted to Facebook one time, it's not. Like, I can tell you, it just isn't going to ring. Lead generation, it isn't about just letting folks know what you do one time. It's letting them know what you do 17 times over the year, 33 times over the year, or even more, whether that be via email, text message, a phone call, posting to social media, and those sorts of things. And so again, for every individual out there, that pain point is like, where is that pain point hit that it sort of outweighs your fear of putting yourself out there? And I think that's a really important thing to find as early as possible as you can in your real estate career, to make sure that you're getting yourself out there early and often. There is nothing worse, and I think here's another pain point, and I'll just tell you this right now. There's nothing worse, and this is something that, for me and for my business, happened a couple times before we decided that it was like, this pain point is too hard to not get out there more. And that is when you hear from, like I said, a friend, a family member, a cousin, an aunt, or an uncle, and they're like, oh yeah, you meet them at a family barbecue, and they're like, oh yeah, we just bought a house. And you're like, what? With who? I'm like, oh, we found him on Zillow. And you're like, but honestly, like, they're under no obligation to choose you. If you weren't, obviously you weren't top of mind, and so they went some other direction, and the responsibility for that falls to us, because 80% of what we're supposed to be doing is the lead generator. And so that was one of the major pain points earlier on when I started in real estate, that when folks that were pretty close to me were doing real estate transactions and didn't think of me because I wasn't putting myself out there. Sorry, that was a really long-winded thing on that Gary Keller quote there. Sorry about that. Okay, so 6 core competencies of a business.
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
I don't think we're seeing, or at least I'm not, the presentation. So what I'm seeing on my screen is like the presenter view. It's still showing the main Ignite like screen, and then on the left I can see all the like slides upcoming. But
Oh yeah, because my screen share is paused. So thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
How do I stop that? Resume. Okay, let me just stop it and start over. 1 second. Thank you for letting me know. Does this look better?
Yes, it's still, yeah. I see the lead generation fears and myths, but I'm still seeing like presenter view and not like the presentation view. Like, it's not taking up the entire screen. I can still see like the upcoming slides on the left. Unless that's what you're working for.
Well, so I was gonna just leave it this way but here, let me.
No, that's fine. I just didn't know, because that's what I saw last time. So I wasn't sure if it was like doing the same thing again.
Let me just try and move some of this stuff out of my way so I can hit the play button again. How about now?
Can you try to move to the next slide and see if it moves with us? Like, if we see it moving?
How about now?
No, it's still on lead generation fears and myths.
It doesn't say the 6 core competencies of a business right now?
No.
Nope.
Oh, darn. So what I'm going to do, I am just going to leave it, unfortunately, not like the full screen view, and I apologize for that, but it should allow us to kind of more or less get through. So now does it say 6 core competencies of a business?
Yes, it does.
Okay, all right. So unfortunately, let's see, can I just, how about that? Is that enough of a full screen that you can kind of see most everything?
That's great.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll kind of just go through it like this. I apologize. So, okay, yes. 6 core competencies of a business: lead generate, capture, convert to appointments. So as we are out there and we are doing our lead gen, especially, you know, not so much like, say you're at a family barbecue and you're just trying to drop real estate into the conversation to remind those that are close to you that of what you do. But more, say, you know, you're doing an open house and you know, a really great cheap way to do a little bit of online internet advertising is to support that with a Facebook post and monetize it a little bit. And you can do that for relatively inexpensive. Say you get an internet lead off of that. Facebook, you know, ad that you did for your open house that you're hosting, or even say someone walks into your open house that you are hosting. You are working to generate the lead and capture it, but then convert that to an appointment. So you get that internet lead in. Your ultimate goal then is to get that person into the office so you can do the full buyer consultation, and or when you're hosting that open house and you really make a connection with someone and they're like, yeah, we are looking, we aren't represented, is converting that lead that you've now captured into an appointment. That's always the next step. And that's something that you always got to kind of keep top of mind. Get them into the office, do the full presentation, get them on a buyer rep agreement. Which is, of course, step 2: present to buyers and sellers, get an agreement. So lead to appointment to agreement, show buyers and market sellers. Then you get into contract, coordinate the closing of the sale, and manage the money. So I don't know how many of you, and I can't see any of your faces here. Let's see if I can bring you back for myself. Yeah. How many of you were on like the first and second of this session doing goal setting? Okay, well, I know Allie, you did goal setting with me, right?
Sorry, yes, I did.
And so Ray, I see a hand raised. Does that be, are you just acknowledging that yes, you were there for goal setting?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And so one of the things that when you're setting these goals, and just another truism about what we do as agents is, you know, 80% of what we're doing out there all the time is getting our name out there, lead generating, making connections. This is a relationship business. And then within that is sort of this funnel, where when you're here, you know, lead, generate, capture, and convert to appointments. Of the appointments that you set, ideally 75% of those set appointments will turn into appointments that you have, and you get buyers and sellers to either a listing agreement or a buyer rep agreement. And then ideally, industry average conversion rates, about 75% of those will convert to written contracts and escrows. And then roughly 75% of those will convert to closed sales. And so when you're setting your goals in Command, oh, I don't think I'm sharing my Safari. You can't see my Safari, can you?
No.
I'll talk about the conversion rates later, or maybe it will kind of come up here in a second. But yeah, you have to kind of think of all of this as a numbers game. You need this huge pool of lead generation so that then you can have this smaller pool of these appointments that you set, because you're going to have an even smaller pool of agreements that you're going to get out of that, to have an even smaller pool out of contracts that you're going to get in escrow out of that. And of those contracts that you get into escrow, not every single one is going to result in a closed sale. So there's, you know, I would say for me, roughly probably 90% of my pendings end up in closed sales. So 10% of those fall out of escrow. And I'm not exact on that number, but roughly, you know, I close 9 out of 10 pending deals that I do. And so it's important to just kind of keep that this is all a numbers game in mind. Is it going to move forward for me? There we go. Okay, so some limiting beliefs, some fears and myths. I think lead generation is really difficult. I don't have time to lead generate. I don't know what to say, and I'm afraid of making mistakes. And this is one, I'm afraid of making mistakes is one that I kind of hammered on just a few minutes ago. Is I find a lot of times when I've done goal setting with a lot of new folks, that's probably one of the number one things that I hear, and it kind of goes hand in hand with I don't know what to say. And so before I kind of move on, let's see what kind of Ignite has to say about this, and I'll kind of opine even further. So I think lead generation is really difficult. I was confusing effort with enjoyment. Lead generation is actually easy. It's just not fun. So for me, lead generation can be incredibly fun. It all kind of depends on how you want to go about it and what your avenues of lead generation are. So everybody's going to be a little bit different in the way that they want to lead generate, certainly. Lead generation can be having a Christmas party. Lead generation can be joining a volunteer board in the community and giving your time to an organization. I'm not saying shamelessly plug yourself during the process, but there's certainly no reason why you can't let folks know what you do as you're doing this incredibly gratifying thing, like giving your time and or inviting all your friends and family, maybe past clients as well, to some great party you're throwing. And I do both of those things as an avenue of lead generation for myself. Okay, so I don't have time to lead generate. I had an issue of making time to lead generate and protecting that time. So time to lead generate, a couple things on that. When you are newer, a lot of us do have feet in two worlds, excuse me, with maybe you're holding down a job here and you're trying to get your real estate business up and running here. If that is the case, that's just fine. What you need to do is set that time and stick to it. It needs to go in your calendar. When is your lead gen time going to be this week? Is it going to, if you're working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, then are you getting off work and taking a quick break and then, maybe hopping on Facebook or opening up your phone and texting, the folks in your database from 6 to 7:30? Is it in your calendar? Are you going to stick to it? And when it says protecting that time, it's also, there are a lot of distractions, and whether that be, some of us might have kids or a spouse or other things that we're a part of, that, sometimes it does have to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, honey, this is my lead gen time. I'm just going to be doing this for the next, 45 minutes or so, and then we can go ahead and do that thing. We have to have that ready to go so that we can stick to our lead gen time that we set for ourselves. It's so, so important. I don't know what to say. I had to get on the path of mastering the dialogue skills needed in this business. So that's something that we get so much of at Keller Williams. So, in really even through the course of the rest of this Ignite thing that we'll be doing and the PC classes that go along with it. So there's a PC class coming up. I don't believe that we've done it yet, and it's creative lead gen ideas. And so Mara just has like this enormous list that I believe she's teaching, and I'm not sure who's teaching it, that she just goes through this enormous list of all these ideas to brainstorm on how you can lead gen. And there are just like, there's got to be a couple hundred points on there of like different ways one can do lead generation. And I think the most important thing about that is don't do something that's not going to be authentic to you. Don't do something that's not going to be an effort that you are enjoying and getting something out of yourself. There are so many ways to do it that you can be authentic to yourself, that those are the ones that you should choose. And I heard just as I hopped on the call something about door knocking. Look, if you're the type of go-getter that can get out there and you want to shake people's hands in your neighborhood or there's some neighborhood you want to own and do that door knocking, that is a great way to do it. And there's a lot of people out there, the extroverts among us that love to meet people and that sort of thing. Great. That's great to do. For some folks, it isn't that. And there are other ways you can do it, and that's just fine. So dialogue skills. Like I said, in the Ignite books, there are so many scripts, so many dialogues that you can use. One thing as far as not knowing what to say And a lot of agents across the country, across Keller Williams, and every brokerage will tell you this, know 3 market stats. So time on market, average sales price, and what the current interest rate is. Or how many months of inventory do we have? Maybe how many homes we have in the area over $1 million right now, and you know, some other market stat. So I definitely find that if you can spout 3 market stats to a layman, you'll come across as a professional, certainly. And then I'm afraid of making mistakes. First of all, mistakes are going to happen. But when it comes to lead gen, I mean, the mistakes that you're going to make is like, yeah, if you misspeak a little bit here and there, the mistakes you don't want to make are like when you're in escrow and you're guiding a client through a transaction. That's the mistakes you want to worry about. You know, flubbing up a stat here or there, or whatnot. Folks are going to want to work with you because they want to work with you, not because you know every single real estate stat backward and forward. This is a business of relationships. And so folks like attracts like in this business. And so I wouldn't worry so much about saying the wrong thing in that sort of way, because you're going to learn all that. You know, that's all going to come with time. Folks are going to work with you because they want to work with you, not because, like I said, you know every market stat inside and out. So as far as making mistakes, don't be afraid of that. The other great thing about being at Keller Williams is we have so much support. You have your PC coaches, you have your team leaders, you have your principal brokers. And there's so many resources out there that if you're like heading into a situation, you're like, gosh, I kind of just have some questions about, you know, what I might run into in this situation, call Mara, call your coach, talk to someone else in the office. Most of our agents that are, you know, in our offices are perfectly fine for you to walk in and let them pick their brain. And that's just fine. That's what our culture is all about. So, especially when it comes to making mistakes, prep yourself beforehand so that you have all the information that you're going to need, and then you can go in with confidence. Not sure what this is depicting. I don't have my instructor side by side. Sorry. Okay. So here's some MREA math for you. And when I say MREA, I mean Millionaire Real Estate Agent. That's the Gary Keller book. I mean, Gary Keller wrote it. Gosh, when did it come out? A long while ago. I think it's a couple decades old. They revised it once, I believe, but they haven't done much revision to it over the years because the methods and the tools and the systems that are in there, they're still as true today as they were when they wrote it. Let me just see how I want to go through this. Yeah, so these numbers are interesting and apply maybe more on like a national level than necessarily our area here in Oregon, just because of our average sales price. But let's think about it this way. So think of your database as a 10-to-1 ratio. So by that, what I mean to say is if you have, say, number of contacts in your phone, if you have 250 contacts in your phone, which I think most of us are probably somewhere around that, or maybe 150. Let's say we have 100 contacts on our phone. Let's just say, you know, all of you sitting right there, you have 100 contacts in your phone, and we're talking about a 10-to-1 conversion rate off those people in your sphere of influence, because I'm going to assume that if they're a contact in your phone, they're in your direct sphere of influence. They're someone that if I said, hey, you know, do you know Taryn? They'd be, oh, Taryn, yeah. Gosh, didn't she just get her real estate license, or doesn't she work at the health food store? I think that's where you work, right, Taryn? Okay, that's okay. So someone that, you know, someone I would consider in your sphere of influence is if, you know, that they know you by name. And say that's 100 people. So out of those 100 people in your direct sphere of influence, if lead generated to at a high level, should provide you with 10 pieces of business throughout the year. The conversion that this is using is 250 names in your phone at a 0.018. I'm using a 0.1. So it should provide you with 20 pieces of business throughout that year. Okay, no, but then it's adding in the referrals. So, and I guess that's my point. So I'm going to go back to my 100. So you've got 100 names in your database, should provide you with 10 pieces of business. But not all 10 of those pieces of business are going to be direct transactions with those folks in your phone. Probably 2 or 3 of them are going to be referrals. But still 10-to-1 ratio. And then if you take your, typical sales price, so here in around Oregon, let's say average commission is, let's say $9,000. Just gonna get out my calculator here. So if you have 100 names in your database, should provide you 10 pieces of business throughout the year if marketed to at a high level, at $9,000 average commission. That's the potential income of $90K. Just off 100 names in your sphere of influence, just off 100 names. But then it's how do you contact these folks at a high level? Oh, wait, what happened? Okay, your sphere of influence is your database. So as you are all continuing on, with Keller Williams here in Ignite, going to the meetings and the trainings in the office and all the different things, you'll hear people say SOI. You'll hear people say database. You'll hear people say sphere of influence. They're all the same things. And they're the folks that know you by name. All right. Okay. So I was kind of talking about that, the funnel a little bit. This is more of a cylinder, but the point remains the same. So here is new lead capture. So is this someone that you met at an open house, a new friend that you just made, maybe a family member that moved to the area to be closer to the core family that's here already in the area, new leads that come into your database. So then inputting into the database. So once they're in the database, it's all about managing that relationship. Either, forming it if it's a new relationship, or strengthening it and solidifying it and staying top of mind if it is a current relationship. And then, of course, kind of going hand in hand is cultivating that for conversion, so that when they are ready to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, you're the one that they are calling, and not someone else, or finding a lead off Zillow or something like that, or finding an agent off Zillow or something like that. But it's also a cycle, because say you meet someone at an open house, get them into your database, cultivate the relationship, sell them a home, then they're a source of maybe being repeat business in the future, or providing a new referral into your business that starts the whole process all over again. And I can't tell you how many times that's happened. Some of my best referrals have been from folks that I've sold homes to, or clients that then came back around 4 or 5 years later, and now I'm selling the house that I helped them buy the first time. But that doesn't happen unless you stay in contact with them, of course. So lead generation, prospecting, and marketing are lead generation activities that deliver leads into your business. So whether that be, like I said before, maybe you're cold calling, maybe you're door knocking, maybe you're hosting open houses, maybe you are becoming, like I said, part of some volunteer organization in your area and getting out and meeting people that way. Maybe you're part of a mom's group. Maybe you join up with like a baseball league, a local, kind of just for fun baseball league, or maybe you become the coach of your kids' soccer team. Any of that can be considered lead generation. It doesn't just have to be purchasing leads from an online real estate source. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Prospecting versus marketing. So here at the top of the triangle, of course, we have marketing. Marketing certainly is money intensive. It is passive, and it is, can tend to be for long-term results. So a lot of agents, when they get in, they think, okay, so how can I start buying up internet leads? That's what marketing is. How can I start buying up internet leads? I can tell you, internet leads are probably one of the poorest converting avenues we have for lead generation versus, say, marketing to your sphere of influence or doing open houses. And they are very expensive. You're paying a lot of money for leads that don't convert very well, or if they do, they convert well, they'll begin to convert over the long term. So these are folks that you may never even get in contact with. You might get some pieces of contact information. You can put them in your CRM, set them up on a drip campaign, make sure you keep them on that drip campaign, and then who knows, maybe at some point you might get a call off of that internet lead. And it is a pretty passive way to bring leads into your system. Prospecting, on the other hand, is certainly more time intensive. It is certainly more proactive because there's a lot more of the act of building relationships going on in your prospecting. And ideally, there are more immediate results that come from prospecting. So, and let's take open houses, for example. When you're out there hosting an open house, those folks that are walking through that door at that open house, they're already kind of keen to talking to a real estate agent. They're certainly walking into that open house knowing a real estate agent is going to be on the other side of that door. Yeah, sometimes maybe the neighbors are just coming over to be a looky-loo and just kind of see what their neighbor's house looks like. But oftentimes those leads are pretty warm. Same, with your sphere of influence, because your sphere of influence, if you are staying top of mind with the folks that know you by name, the referral opportunity, like maybe your mother-in-law isn't going to be selling anytime soon. In fact, she's going to die in that house. So maybe she's not going to be an immediate piece of business for you, and that's fine. But she certainly knows a lot of people from the Lions Club, or who knows what it is that she's out there doing. And so there's referral opportunities, is a lot of untapped potential, but it's such a time intensive thing because it is a relationship that you do need to pour into and be very proactive about. So prospecting and marketing are just two very different kinds of way to lead gen. And I think the toughest part about the marketing aspect of things is a lot of us, when we get into this business, it's relatively low cost to get started in real estate. I mean, you can get your real estate license for, the schooling is maybe $500, then the state wants $300 from you, and then you set up your MLS and you set up your association, and maybe you're in, $1,500, $2,000. I mean, name another business that you can start for under $2,000. There's not many. But then here comes the prospecting and marketing, and this can be a huge money suck when it comes to your marketing, or a huge time suck when it comes to your prospecting. And so it's just really interesting because you can start the business for relatively cheaply, but then you're going to really start giving either in money or in time as soon as you got that up and running. And I'm sure you guys are finding that very apparent at this point. Okay, so here we are under relationship management now. A database. Oh gosh, I'm being really long-winded. We only got about 10 minutes before most of you guys want to hop off. That's okay. Like I said, you won't hurt my feelings. Don't worry about it. You can just email Mara and be like, hey, I had to hop off early. Can I get the rest of that recording so I can finish digesting the information? Even if nobody's here, I'll go ahead and finish the presentation so you all have something to watch later if you want to watch this recording. Relationship management. So a database, or your CRM. So Command, one of its functions is as a CRM, or a database manager, is a container that holds the information of all your leads and contacts. A smart database allows you to have a planned and meaningful communication with your database. So within Command, our CRM, our database, it is a smart database. There are many tools within it to schedule your times out for when you need to be, calling, texting your database to stay top of mind. There are plenty of tools within it to set up your contacts on drip campaigns, whether they be from your sphere of influence, whether they be from someone you met at an open house, whether they be from just an internet lead that, say, you called the internet lead and they never answered, you left them a message, they didn't answer, you texted them the next day, they didn't answer. Still doesn't mean you can't set them up on a drip campaign if you got their email address, and there's probably a good drip campaign in there for that type of lead. So Command is a really good tool to put all of these folks in, whether they be from your sphere of influence, or maybe a lead that just came in from a Facebook post you did that you never were able to get in touch with. Doesn't mean you can't still put them on a drip. Just a little bit more about relationship management. So leads, people who you have earned the right to at least have a one-way conversation with, such as like you put a Facebook post out there and someone responded to it like as a lead, and you got the contact information, you called them and they didn't answer. Contacts, people you've held a two-way conversation with and with whom you've established a value-based relationship. Those are contacts, your sphere of influence. Relationships must be attended to, cared for, and cultivated. So I would love to dive into 36 touch on this, and we may like talk about it a little bit throughout this, but the most important thing, once you have a contact, not a lead, but a contact, is attending to that, caring for that, and cultivating for that relationship. And the way that we do that is through a very thoughtful and well-executed touch campaign, is certainly how I refer to it. A touch campaign, when done at, I would say, you know, an 8 out of 10 level, which is pretty good, would consist of 4 phone calls with that person a year, 24 emails to that person's inbox a year, 4 pieces of direct mail going to that person's address every year. And so those 4 years, that's once per quarter. And then another 4 face-to-faces, whether that be a coffee, a party, maybe you're part of some group together, whatever it may be that you're there, maybe you're holding a client appreciation event, something like that, but 4 face-to-faces, resulting in 36 total touches throughout that year. That would be a high level attending, caring, and cultivating for the contacts and relationships that you have. And like I said, anyone, I know that, you know, a lot of you are going to hop off for this open house thing, so don't worry about it. But if there's any questions, feel free to unmute and kind of cut me off. That's totally fine. And so as I had kind of said, types of communication: calls, emails, texts, face-to-face, through the app, handwritten communication, or some direct mail. And it's so funny because it's so much easier said than done, right? I mean, it's so much easier said than done. I mean, it's like, I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here, but the execution of it is so difficult. Scheduling it out and making sure that it happens, that you are like clockwork, cultivating with those 4 phone calls a year, once per every quarter, that your 2 emails a month or 24 per year are going out like clockwork to your database, that those faces-to-faces are happening, and that you are purposefully making sure that all of your oh, I see a hand raised. Yes.
So I have been getting a lot through like the KW, you know, they give you the website and everything. I get a
Yes.
lot of, I would love to talk to you, but contact me on WhatsApp.
Yes.
Is that common?
Unfortunately, it's extremely common. I hate it. I don't know what the scam is. I'm not sure how they're gonna try and like eventually get money out of you, or like what, because I totally ignore them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I said I only do the, I will only, I would love to meet you for coffee, or I try to meet up with them in person, and then I get completely, what is it, ghosted that they say now? Yeah.
I do the exact same. So if the lead comes in, I will respond to it and I'll be like, hey, oh yeah, I would love to help you find a home here in Eugene. You know, let's set up a time to talk. I'd love to find more about what you're looking for and what your goals are, and da 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 da. And then you get the response back, oh yeah, well, contact me on WhatsApp. And then I do not respond after that. I don't, like I said, I don't know what the scam is, but it's not legit. But they must be doing it for some reason, because they're fooling somebody into like engaging with them. Otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. But yeah, I unfortunately, is a thing that is happening. And like I said, I don't know what their end game is.
Okay, I'm glad I'm just not the only one, and I'm
No,
not
yeah.
actually missing out on an actual opportunity, because I did
No,
kind of
I don't
second
think so.
guess myself.
And you're doing the right thing. Certainly respond to it if it comes in. But yeah, if they're like, oh, let's go to WhatsApp, you're like, WhatsApp? No, we're not doing that.
One thing that's been working for me is letting other business owners in town know, hey, I'm a small business myself. I know not only do real estate, but I help out businesses with things like business billing. Like you got POS systems you need set up. You're trying to talk to another business because your business is not doing so well. Like, let me communicate on your behalf. And then, yeah, and then that kind of gets them like knowing that, hey, I want to help them out. And doing that, I tell them, I don't want anything from you except for you to be my friend. And then I can use you as a referral. Should I have clients like ask me, hey, do you have referrals? Yeah, I actually work with all of these businesses downtown.
I love that.
And
That's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, like I said, there's so many ways to do it, and I must have listed off probably a dozen different ways to lead gen, and then that was one I like didn't even come close to hitting on. So thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Oop. Back. There we go. Okay, client referral loop. I kind of already hit on this, so I won't spend too much time on it. But yeah, your database will generate leads in the form of new, repeat, or referral business. And once you're in it for, and it takes a minute for this to start to happen. Obviously, a lot of you folks that are in here right now are a little bit relatively new, most of you. And so certainly when I would say that loop will probably start to happen for you about 18 months, I feel like, is when I really see the loop effect start to happen for folks. So don't think that it won't happen. It will happen. Just trust in the process, stick to your lead gen time, know that 80% of your job is marketing yourself, 80% of your job is selling you as the real estate professional, and the loop will begin to happen for you. All right, put it all together. So lead generation, I love it. Lead generation, never ends. And I've said this a couple times, is best when it's time blocked. Put it in your calendar, make it sacred, stick to it.
I do have a good one. I do have a good one if you're scared of knocking on doors. So there's a company called The Bella in town, and they send out canvassers. The manager's name is Jake Hayes. He is really, really, really nice. And if you ask him, hey, I am sucking at knocking doors, he welcomes you following his canvassers around. Like,
a really interesting idea. That is a very, because they are on it.
Yeah, they are on it.
They can knock doors like nobody's business. I know all
Absolutely.
too well. It's probably do most of us.
Yeah.
And then suddenly and it kind of goes without saying, lead gen determines the size of your business. So the numbers that we were kind of working with off the top, I said, if you have 100 names in your database, should provide you, if marketed to at a high level, with 10 pieces of business. Throughout that year, probably 7 direct pieces and then another 2 or 3 referrals. Of course, the more you put yourself out there, the more names you add to your database. And I think let me go back up to where it had it here. This is working off 250 names in database, should provide you with about 20 pieces of direct business if you're marketing to all those 250 at a high level, and then another 5 or so referrals. Yeah, this 45 is weird for me. I'm not sure if the math isn't mathing for me on this. That's not the numbers that I use. So 250 names in my database marketed to a high level should be about 20 pieces of direct business from those 250 names, another 5 referrals for about 25 pieces of business off 250 names. And then the next year you're putting yourself out more, you're growing your database even more. Now your database is 450 people strong, and you're still marketing to those 450 people at a high level. That's potential 50 plus deals out of a database of that size if you're using it, if you're marketing to those folks at a high level. And it's not easy. Like I said, that we come to this graph and it makes it look like, oh, so simple. Phone call, email, text, face-to-face, no problem. Even to 100 people, to stick to it and to do it well and to do it often, it's hard. It is hard. And that's where I think where we just were. I lost it. But it never ends. It's best when it's time blocked, and it determines the size of your business. That's how you grow it to 450 is when it's time blocked and you know that it's never going to end. Certainly we get burned out. You know, that's just a fact of life, but you know, the lead gen aspect of this will never end. We're having a conversation here. So you know, if you have any ahas as we go, you just kind of spit them out and let's talk about it. All right. So sphere of influence. Oh, look at these fun pictures. Who have we got here? Neighbors and your doctor and the guy that gives you coffee. Oh, looks like some volunteering going on. All the things we've kind of already talked about. Very cool. What's going on? There we go. Categorizing your sphere of influence. My mouse isn't mousing, sorry. Immediate family, of course, friends, relatives, neighbors, past coworkers. We've hit on all those so far. Hobby sports groups, teachers, folks you go to church with, your professional services, as was depicted in those pictures. So your doctor, your lawyer, if you have one. I mean, your contractor, the list of professional services that we all are engaged in throughout our lives is enormous. Dentist and on and on and on. Financial legal services, I guess that kind of goes hand in hand with that. Personal services, home and auto services. So all those things really go hand in hand, I would say, with professional services. And then, you know, of course, real estate agents, real estate services, and other. So real estate agents for me, I don't feel like that's talking about other, you know, if you're here in Lane County, like some of us are, that's not really talking about other Lane County agents. Any other active Lane County agent is not going to be a source of influence for you. Source of business for you. They're going to do the deal themselves. But that doesn't mean an agent in Salem isn't going to refer to you if you have some relationships up there, Portland, or across the country. You know, there are some niche groups on Facebook that you could become a part of where realtors network together. That if you're pretty present on those groups posting, I've gotten referrals from the East Coast, from Utah, Colorado, all sorts of places, just from kind of being present on realtor groups, because they can't represent here, they can't sell here, and they make a 25% referral fee if they send them to me. And if they like your presence and they think you're cool, they, you know, might be pretty likely to send you that piece of business. So there's certainly a value in networking with other real estate agents. But one piece of advice that I tend to give to folks is like, so just say, for example, you're like some of us here and you're in Lane County. If you are like, hey, you know what, one of the ways that I want to try and network is I'm going to start going to the Chamber of Commerce meetings and being really engaged there on something. And then you go there on the first meeting and there's 17 other real estate agents that have the same idea as you. Maybe the Chamber of Commerce isn't the best place to start. I would advise finding something that's authentic to you, where maybe other agents that aren't your direct competition hopefully haven't already cornered that. Not to say that just because other agents aren't already there, that you might not connect with somebody off the bat. I mean, like attracts like. Maybe the other guy that's there or gal or whatever is a real stick in the mud and nobody really likes them. And maybe they're, you know, starved for an actually, you know what I mean? And so that's not to say like if some other agent is there, it absolutely is not going to be a source of business for you. However, at least in what I have tried to do in my personal business is to find places where other agents aren't already kind of have that group cornered, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So build your SOI day by day. It just kind of continues the slide. Okay, so build your SOI day by day. Within Command, there is a way to bulk upload every contact in your phone directly into Command. I believe it's pretty easy. I'm not the tech savvy half of my business, so the tech savvy half of my business took care of that for me. Every week, our network has Market Center Tech Trainer office hours. So in the email that we get on Mondays, that has like everything that's going on that week, and then it has the link to our monthly calendar, Within that, every single week, I believe it's Thursdays, I want to say at 1 p.m., but I can't be positive of that off the top of my head. We have what's called Market Center Tech Trainer Hours. And there's someone on there that's fairly tech savvy that if you have like questions about command, or say you're wanting to like just bulk export every contact in your phone into your command, or just take you through maybe drip campaigns in command or something like that, hop on to Market Center Tech Trainer Hours. PC office hours with Mara, she knows a lot about a lot and can certainly do a lot of that stuff. But when it comes to like super heavy technical stuff, like especially like a bulk upload, I mean, she's a busy real estate agent. She's not bulk uploading things. She's leveraging that. And I would suggest you do the same and get on Tech Trainer Hours and leverage those tech trainers to just help you make that bulk upload easy. Also, but that's not what this is actually really talking about. Building your SOI day by day is what that means is like, so say you've got 100 names in your phone right now, 100 people solid sphere of influence. Great. Get them in your database, schedule the phone calls, get them set up on drip campaigns and all those things. But that's not where it stops. What's your goal to get your database to 150? How many names can we add per week? 1 or 2 a week? Can we add one name to our sphere of influence a week? Can we add 2 names to our sphere of influence a week? I mean, if we could add 2 names to our sphere of influence a week, 2 relationships, folks that you've had a 2-way conversation with, that's, over 100 names this year. You can double your database in your first year in real estate just by making 2 new relationships every single week. I mean, even 1 would be something for sure. To go from 100 names to 150 names in your first year of solid relationships and folks that you can market to is fantastic. That's 5 additional pieces of business that should provide you by adding 50 names. Okay, a bold law. I'm not sure when we're going to see bold again, but you may hear a bit more about bold as you continue on in your career in real estate and are with Keller Williams. Bold is a intense program that we run a couple times a year. Bold will come through the state. So maybe, when it comes through Oregon again, it might be like in Portland or something. And so what basically is done is once a week, you go to Bold. It's an in-person thing. And you're there for probably goes like 8 to 3 or 8 to 4. And it's a really, really intense program that is like Ignite. Just, I mean, I hate to say it this way because it just sounds kind of icky, but Ignite on like crazy, crazy steroids. It's like the Hulk of Ignite. And instead of like where we in Ignite, we get to the practices that you are supposed to then go and do on your own. You do those practices in the room with 100 other agents, with the coaches kind of more or less standing over your shoulder, holding you accountable. Bold holds you accountable to making 20 contacts a day. So you're supposed to make 20 phone calls and or text messages talking about real estate, asking for referrals, letting folks know what you do per day. So that's 100 a week. You make 100 contacts a week in Bold. And it's a really intense program. You'll probably end up crying once or twice or whatever. I mean, it can be very emotional because they also talk a lot about, limiting beliefs and where are those pain points that can kind of get you out of your shell so that if you're not making those contacts, well, let's dive into why is that? And like, Bold is a lot. So anyways, I just kind of want to describe that because in case you've never heard of Bold, what do you care what a bold law is? And you know what I mean? Anyways, bold law. Change the way you look at things, and the things that you look at change. So I took Bold, oh gosh, the last time I took it some years ago now. I mean, COVID, and I hate to even bring up COVID, so I'm sorry. But anyways, COVID made Bold all weird because it had to go virtual. And then ever since then, I don't feel like it's really like kind of recovered and gotten its steam back. But before that, Bold was like a really, really big deal in our offices, and a lot of people participate in it. So anyways, this was back before then was the last time that I took Bold. And this is one of the big bold laws that, I mean, there are many bold laws, but this is one of the most popular ones that you'll hear often recited. The longer that you're at Keller Williams, this will not be the last time that you hear this said by someone at Keller Williams. This doesn't just apply to your business. This applies to everything that you do in your life. It's almost such a good quote. I'm kind of having trouble finding a way to rephrase it to like make it, but just trust me, like change the way you look at things, and the things that you look at change. It doesn't just apply to real estate. It applies to almost everything in your life. And this is just a great Bold quote. So I'm glad that this was included, because like I said, Bold has a lot of quotes and a lot of them are pretty darn good. This is one of the best ones. Okay, here we are on expanding SOI. Okay. So expand your sphere of influence, add more personal information to your SOI contacts. So I love this point. In the goal setting sessions that I used to do when I was a PC coach, one of the points that I really, really tried to hammer home with folks was that it's not enough to just have someone's phone number. It's not enough to just have someone's home address and nothing else. It's not enough to just have someone's email address. Because when you are reaching out to your sphere of influence at a high level, which if you want that 10-to-1 ratio that I've been talking about, so 100 names in your database providing you with 10 pieces of business, you've got to reach out to them at a high level. That includes the phone calls, the texts, the direct mail, and the emails. If you are missing pieces of contact information, you're not going to be able to execute that campaign. And so adding that personal information, I'm telling you, is so, so important. In Command, here, let me change the way I'm sharing the screen. So I'm assuming the folks that I have with me are going to stay till 3, probably. I'm just wondering if I'm allowed to not waste a little time here, but take a little time. So I'm just going to share my desktop now because I want to show you guys some in Command. I am. So here in Command, and so what this is going hand in hand with is what I was just stressing about, how important it is that you have all the pieces of contact information so that you can execute this campaign at a high level. So in Command, I think it's here. No. Must just be on your home page. So in Command, one of the things that it will show you, it's taking a second. Oh, I don't want to be in mine. No, I'm in the wrong side. Let's turn it. Because there's 2 people on my team. We do it all through. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now I'm in the right one. You can look at your database health. So of all the people I have in my database, for 79% of them, I have an email. I think that's my numbers, right? The blue is me, and then the other one's a comparison. So yeah. So for all the people in my database, 79% of them I've got a phone number. My market center average is 53. For all the people in my database, 38% of them I got an email address. My market center average is 69%. This includes not Mets as well. So if you're someone who has a robust lead gen apparatus, you're getting a lot of internet leads, you're going to have a lot of email addresses, but you're not going to have a lot of phone numbers or personal addresses. All you're going to have is email addresses because they're all internet leads. And that's the one thing people provide. And then physical address, I need to really improve on that for sure. But you can look directly at your database health. And then, my overall database health score is right about 50%, which is about in line with the market center that I'm in. And so you can, just keep track of your numbers here, and you can see how you're doing right here in Command. And since I'm here, I just wanted to show you guys one other thing that I think is really, really cool. Is it this? Goals? Goal setting? A goal setting worksheet for you. So it's pretty simple to fill out. So say, and these aren't my numbers, but I've just used this for people so many times that this is probably the last person I was doing goal setting with. So they wanted to make 60,000. Off spending, say maybe $5,000 as their expenses, and then cost of sales is 15K, because with our splits with the market center, so you close a commission, we do 12,000 to the market center, and then we have the $3,000 royalty. So your cost of sales being 15,000. Average split of 50% listings, 50% buyers. Is this not scrolling down any? And then off an average commission of say $9,500. So my profit goal was 60,000, with my cost of sales and expenses being about 20,000. So my annual gross commission income was $80,000 to cover those costs to profit 60K. Then it goes into your conversion rates. So just leave the leads and contacts behind, and I'm just going to go straight to the appointment set. So appointment set. If you can set, let's say 25 appointments, and 25 and then 75% of those appointments are kept, you'll go on 20 appointments. If 75% of those 20 appointments end up in agreements, let's say you'll end up with 16, 17 buyer broker agreements or listing agreements. And then if 75% of those convert, you'll close roughly 12, 13 transactions. So let's just say I like these conversion rates, because you can, in the previous screen, you can kind of adjust them as well. So, because for me, my under contract or pending to closed is more like 90%. So you can adjust those as you kind of have data. And then set goals. Oh, it didn't do it. Okay, well, in a perfect world, it would have filled this all in for me. And so then what it will tell you is how many appointments you need to set. Oh, no, it did fill in something. So, okay, yeah, okay. So based on those goals, these don't seem right given the numbers. But anyways, let's just say that they are right. I need to set 50 appointments. I need to go on 38 appointments. That would need to result in 28 buyer, broker, or listing agreements. That should result in 22 under contract. That will then result in 16 closings, which should get me to my goal. But then you can see the goal here, okay, because these numbers, okay, why I didn't do it off my original numbers, I don't know. Because this 50 appointment, 38, 28, 22, and then 16, that's actually for 120, not for the 60 that I had. So you actually cut this in half. And the reason that I'm saying this is because that's actually only setting 25 appointments throughout the entire year. 25 appointments throughout the entire year. That's one every 2 weeks. That's all the appointments that you actually have to set. To go on, then it would be roughly 20 appointments kept. That's say 2 a month, to end up closing, around 1 deal per month. Will get you to that 60K mark that you want. So I highly recommend going into reports and playing with your goal setting if you haven't had the opportunity already, because it really kind of puts it into perspective. Essentially, what you'll find is I need to go on 1 appointment a week. I need to have 1 appointment a week, and I'm going to hit my goals. Okay, so adding more information to your sphere of influence. We want all the pieces of contact information. That's how we're going to market to these folks at a high level, because there's all these avenues that we need to get them: direct mail, email, text message, phone calls. And you can't do that if you don't have all the bits of information. I love this. Expand your sphere of influence. Just ask. Just ask. Just ask. Hey, do you know anyone that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? I'd be so honored for your referral. Just ask. If you don't put yourself out there, your phone is not going to ring. Strength and casual connections. I mean, this is what we talked about: coaching a soccer team and all those different examples that I gave. I don't want to repeat myself too much. Expand your SOI, join groups that will connect you with people with similar interests and values. As I hit on earlier, don't choose something that's not authentic to you that you're not going to enjoy. That's going to show. Folks aren't going to want to connect with you if it's obvious that you're out there faking it and just doing it to hopefully connect with someone to get a piece of business. You might as well enjoy it while you're out there doing your lead gen, and make it worthwhile. Gather leads from your sphere of influence. Am I building my business on people I know and the people they know? Do you know anyone from family or friends, work, or your neighborhood, or a group you belong to who's thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? Well, that sounds familiar. I'd be pleased to be a resource for them. If you hear of someone with a real estate need, will you keep me in mind and let me know right away? So a lot of times when going all the way back to the beginning of this class, I don't know what to say. Here you go. And I think that brings us to the end.
Ooh, could you go back to that
wait.
slide so I could screenshot
I
it?
think actually, I think we have one more little chapter, but yes, I will go back to which one?
On the dialogue.
This one?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, this is great. So these are all fun little interesting things. Okay, lead gen best practice. Okay, now we're coming close to it. Okay. Track your lead sources. And this is so important too, especially if you are spending money on some avenues of your lead gen sources, or certainly if you're investing a ton of time into your lead gen sources, you're going to want to track where those leads are coming from to then determine, as some time has gone by, is this a good use of my time? Is this a good use of my money? And then audit those lead sources, as I kind of just hit on. Diversify your database, be consistent. Time block, which is kind of what I was going to get into as far as being consistent. Time block your lead generation time. Put it in your calendar, stick to it. So, and then when you do that, start out with a little mindset time. Start out with a little preparing time before you pick up the phone and just call without, giving yourself a second to really collect yourself. What type of leads are going to be calling? What type of dialogue are you going to be engaging in? Where are you heading with this thing? And give yourself a little bit of a positive reinforcing mantra before you start those as well, so that when you make that call, that energy that's coming through the phone from your side makes you sound like a person that they want to talk to and engage with. Certainly, and this kind of goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. If you got a little, list of folks that you want to call, say they're even just from your personal influence, your sphere of influence, and you're just calling some friends and family really quick to say, ask for some referrals and just kind of chat them up and catch up and whatever. If before you start those phone calls, you're thinking, oh, well, no one's going to pick up the phone. No one's going to want to send me any business. And well, I don't really know anything anyways, so they probably shouldn't send me any business. Strike that, start over, change your mindset. That's not the way to start out your lead gen time, for sure. So all these things are great advice. Mindset, practice, and then start your lead gen time. And then, of course, maintain. So you've had these conversations, then you go into your command, make a note that you made that contact. What did you talk about? Make a little note for yourself of what you talked about, so that next quarter, when that phone call time comes back around for you to talk to, your cousin Sally, blah, 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 that you can be like, oh, I remember last time we were talking about this, because you got the note right there that you did it. And also it's sort of like, and I don't know if, the rest of you are like this, but there's something really gratifying to me, like check that box. So it also kind of allows you to like that sense of accomplishment. So you're, it's Tuesday. You've got these 4 people from your database that you've got to call. So you pull up so-and-so in command and you make that call, and then you get to kind of be like, oh, call made. We talked about this, and like you did it. It's like kind of that fun sense of accomplishment. I feel like real estate is one of those tough things because you know, especially at the start, you're not like closing escrows every day. And so it's really tough to quantify success. It's really important that you find a way on a daily basis to give yourself some credit for the work that you do. I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough credit for being like, oh, you know what? I actually talked to 3 different people today about what I do and said, you know, hey, if you ever know anybody, feel free to give them my number. I'd be honored to help any of your friends and family that are wanting to do some real estate. And we don't give ourselves enough credit for those moments. And we're like, well, I haven't really done anything today. Maybe you did. Think hard. Give yourself some credit. Okay, battle distractions, protect your time block, build a bunker. This is a tough one. A lot of us, especially since 2020, are pretty hybrid, if not working from home 100%. I wouldn't describe your home as a bunker. I would describe your office that you can close the door and you're going to set that timer and stick to it for how long you're going to be lead genning. That's a bunker. But just you know, putting your laptop at the kitchen table, and when the laundry timer dings, you walk away from your lead gen, then go switch out the laundry, and then, oh, you know, actually I'm kind of hungry, maybe I'll make myself a cup of noodle or something, and then oh, well, now it's 3 o'clock, I got to go to pick up the kids. That's not a bunker. Build a bunker. Go to the office. All of our offices, whether you're in Salem or Portland or Eugene, have great spaces that you can just drop into, cubicles or what have you, and that can be your bunker. Store provisions. Again, if you think you're gonna like need a snack and like that might be some distraction, you're like, oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna get up and wander in the kitchen and see if there's something. No. Just have like a little bag of chips there or whatever you need so that you can like stick to that, or have it planned out so that you've gone to Starbucks before your lead gen time so that you can sit down when it starts. You've got your Starbucks at the ready, and you can do it as you've put in your calendar that you're going to do it. Also sweep for minds. So if that includes, you know, maybe you have a really distracting partner at home that is adjusting to this new thing that you've taken on called real estate, and you're gonna, you know, jump into your lead gen time, and you know, figure out a way to talk to that person, or it might be your kids, or who knows what it might be, to be like, hey, so I'm going to be jumping into this. I just, you know, just give me these, you know, the next 90 minutes or so to kind of get through my phone calls and this and that. I really want to, you know, be really diligent about this, and it's super important that I stick to this. Who knows what sweeping for minds might be? Like I said, it might be the laundry. Who knows what? And then enlist support kind of goes hand in hand. You know, in talking with that partner or those kids about making sure that this time is kind of sacred, like your bunker time is sacred, it doesn't have to be like, you badger me all the time, stop badgering me. It's actually, hey, you know, this is something I'm really trying to do. I'm trying to do this for us. I'm trying to do this so that we can live the big life that we want to live, and I need your help. And so just some ideas to kind of help protect your time. And that brings us to the end. So, any thoughts out there that anybody kind of wants to go over before we sign off? Any questions that came up during the course of this? Any big ahas? Any new ideas that came across today that were something like, oh, I've never really thought about it that way? Or how about this? Any of the 3 of you was sort of that conversion idea kind of new? Like, oh, okay, if I go, you know, if I set 25 appointments and then I can keep 20 of those appointments, and then 17 of those end up in written agreements, for then 13 of those to end up in pending so that I can close 11 transactions. Does that ring true for anybody?
Yeah, I um I I really liked what you said when you were talking about how a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough credit, you know, because I've been talking, you know, I work at a health food store, so I talk to a lot of people all day long, and I have been talking to them and sharing and letting them know, hey, this is what's new with me, you know. And the customer service part of my job, you know, um, is providing world-class customer service. And I think it's a great training, you know, that kind of sets me up for success here, because one of the things that I kind of challenged myself with was getting to know our regular customers by their first name.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so it's actually mind-boggling how many people I know by name in the community that they probably don't even know my name because my name tag is usually hidden behind my hair, but they know me, they've been seeing me for 7 years. And, when I share this information with them, they're excited for me. So I guess I haven't really been giving myself that credit. And thank you for saying that. So
Awesome. Well, thank you. All right. Well, we got through that in about 90 minutes. Pretty good. And that should be probably about average for most of these Ignite days, probably running about 90 minutes. I know that when we do contract class, I tend to run over just because there's so much to talk about during that class. So this won't be the last time you see me. I'm on the schedule to teach a couple more throughout the course of the next couple months. So this won't be the last time we see each other. So thanks for hanging out, and then we'll see you guys around the office.
thanks, Aaron.
Bye.